Hi guys, welcome back to Masters of Trading. Let's say good morning, good afternoon and good evening, depending upon where you are and at what time of day you're watching this. So today we have an indicator tutorial for you, and the indicator in question is WhippCandles. The chart is the Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin versus US dollar, and it's the 1 hour chart, and the data is supplied by Bitstamp. So each candle is 1 hour, as we know, and we have the WhippCandles candle color integration on the chart right now. I've hidden the indicators for the second just so we can do the introduction. But to add the indicator to the charts, we would go to our indicators and strategies. We would click on that, and we would do our search for WhippCandles, and we would add the indicator simply by clicking on it. What I have done in advance is added a few different indicators that we have, but I'm just going to show you how nice WhippCandles are. And let's have a look here. Okay, that's beautiful. Okay, yeah, so for example, with WhippCandles, and this is one thing that I think is really powerful with WhippCandles, with just the candle color integrated, you can have so there, that's a good trend line. So that's a bottom, that's a higher low, and then that's a higher low. So at this stage here, we appear to be losing strength in the market, and we have a pale green here, and we have a break of this trend line, and then we start having some strength in the WhippCandles to the bearish side. So you could be like, okay, in this like macro environment here, you could have drawn a trend line from the bottom there, up, which would have probably been parallel to that. Let's do it out of interest. I would have probably been parallel about there, and you could have had your sell order in below this, and then price took it and took a tumble, and you would have remained in that trade, to be honest with you. Let's do another trend line here. Sorry to digress, but these are just like cool little learning tips. So again, a trend line, we will connect that to there, and we will take that up there. And that was nice. So what we do have here, this is really cool. We have bearish momentum in the market identified by WhippCandles. And these are lighter purple here, so this shows that the momentum is waning a little bit. And we see price start creeping along this trend line. So what we have, 1, 2, more or less 3 touches of this area. So we could have drawn our trend line at this point, extended up here. And we see some strength coming into the market here. We see some strength coming into the market, but the price isn't getting above this level. So this is where you use WhippCandles and your other indicators and price action and your own experience to say, okay, well, you know, WhippCandles is bullish here, but it isn't actually, you know, penetrating that level to go north. So you could expect a nice breakdown. This is a really interesting learning point for everybody. So here we have price not getting above this level. The bears are in control here, pushing the market down, pushing, selling. People who are buying here, you know, the orders are just being sucked up by the sellers, and price breaks down. So what you might have in this scenario is that anybody who has been watching this area for breaking above here, they could say, okay, well, I'll tell you what, if price breaks above this line, and I'll just draw one in for you, we'll turn the magnet off. If we have the price line here and somebody says, okay, if it breaks that, it's going to be bullish, and it's going to return, you know, possibly back to this support or this support here that broke down. So lots of buy orders will have been in around this area, peppered around this area, expecting a bullish pop back up to the 12,000 or up to 14,000 or back to all-time highs of 20,000. But people have put buy orders in there. And if they're going to put buy orders in along there, where would they put their stops? So by the time this price has done this, and they're like, okay, well, if it breaks that, it's going to go up. And then if it does break that, I'm going to have my stop, along this trend line here. So I'd have my stop here, stop here, stop here. Some people might say, oh, I'll have my stop below the lowest low here. And then this is how the market plays out. So smart money knows that a lot of people will have their buy orders in here. If they've got a lot of Bitcoin to sell because they want out of the position at the moment, all they have to do is buy certain amounts of Bitcoin to push the market into this area, and all the robots, all the EAs, all start buying because they think it's a breakout, and then they can just start selling their Bitcoin to these buyers. And then obviously it doesn't take that level. It's just entered everyone's long positions where they've gone short, and the market breaks down here. And then when people have got their stop losses around here and here, this is where you can see a lot of action in the market. Volume would have been quite a lot here. Prices up and down, prices up and down. And then even here, where some stops might have been. Let's go there, let's make it so as soon as price gets to around this area, people who got sucked in around this area are thinking, oh my word, it's a bear trap, it's a bear trap. And they start selling here, and you have this volume here because some people have got their stops below here. And then you get to this area, everyone's like, okay, no, it's gonna tank, and everyone starts panic selling. It busts through that. When you've got loads of stop losses in here as well, that obviously enhances the momentum of the market, and you have quite a bearish candle. Anyway, yeah, we kind of did move into a different direction then, but it's just a good learning point for you. And also here, I mean, you've got a low here, and here you've got a low here. You've got a low here, and market starts turning bullish. We've got a nice green candle here, indecision, and a green bullish candle with a low test. People are going to be putting their either sell orders or their stop losses here. And then there's this magnificent candle that goes down and takes, whether it activates stop losses or activates sell orders. This is how the Bitcoin market behaves. If you're not sensible with your stops, or if you're not savvy as to what can happen to create that liquidity, you will get trapped in things like this, and you will, the mentality, your mentality will be tested to the full extent. Whip candles again. Here we've got weak bearish. Nice rounding, nice rounding, nice rounding, and here we were turning bullish with the greens. So we could have gone for example, yep, okay, you could have then used that. Okay, so we've got a top there, we've got a top there, and we're starting to turn bullish here in this compression. The breakout is purple, which doesn't normally happen, but these things can happen, and you have to bear in mind, you always have to compare and use your other indicators for context. So now we will go to our indicator panels. So I will double click, and we will have what I organized before we started this video to save time, and then I've started talking about other stuff, but we will delete that for the moment. Delete. Okay, so at the top we have RVOL, relative volume compared to price, which is our special take on it. Anton's fabulous work again. So RVOL price at the top. We have the chart, which has whip candles overlaid over the existing candles, normal Japanese candles. On whip candles at the bottom panel, we have the existing whip candles panel, and with the latest addition, we've added whip trend as an overlay on top. And then at the bottom, we have TSI MACD, which is set on 48542. And I will show you why we have that in a moment. So if I go and click on the indicator, and here we go, double click, we have our first box come up, and this initial section is whip trend. The second section is relative price, and this third section is TSI MACD, and the fourth section is the time frames. So in this example, we have the 1 hour chart, and we also have the time frames for whip candles set to whatever you want them to be set to. And I will just show you that now. We're going to lose that, but we will go to the end here. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so the first section, the 242 on whip trend, gives us this panel, which for the 60-minute chart with the whip trend as 242, it means that on the 60-minute chart, being a green, it means that the whip trend is bullish. And then this would suggest here that the 240, which is the 4 hour, is bearish. And then the 300-minute, 360, 420, 480, they're all bullish at the moment on whip trend on 242. So if I show you what 242 looks like, we can edit this second section here. We can go 2, 4, 2, change it, and it's going to be a lot more erratic as this. There we go. So if you think about this on the larger time frames, so you've got the 8 hour, the 8 hour is going to be a bit like this. So whenever you have a bearish cross on the 8 hour, for example, so in this case, white below black, we have a bearish situation. So for example, here, we would have had the 480 signaling purple. Okay, so midnight, 14th to the 15th midnight, we have the 480, for example, is a green, which is bullish. So let's change this to an 8 hour chart, and we have to ignore the candle colors here because we obviously have all of these. But if we go to the 15th, there, in between there, we can see that the white is above the black. So that means that the 8 hour should be green. And then here we have the white coming under the black. So this means that when this prints, the 480 should technically be purple. So let's go back to the 1 hour. This would suggest that when that next 8 hour candle prints, this could turn purple, and everything could turn purple, and it could start cascading down, which again, the RVOL looks a bit like that, but we're not doing technical analysis of Bitcoin right now. We are doing technical analysis of the indicator. So 242 is an aggressive version. If we go for 222, we will see this change a little bit, even more erratic. There we go. And this is why sometimes I flip this between 242 and 222. But we will keep that. For the candle colors, we will keep 242 for the moment. And then for the channel length, the official wave trend was 10, 21, and I think 3 or 4. We'll go for 3. There we go. And here we have TSI MACD turned off, relative price turned off. Okay, so this is the original wave trend settings, which that would have been a sell there. You would have had a nice move. That's a buy, that's a sell, that's a buy. So that's a buy. And you would have had a nice move. That's a sell. You would be in drawdown here. That turned into a buy. Would you close your trade? Not necessarily, because our vol has good divergence there. Okay, so what I will do is we'll just carry on talking about the indicator, and then I'll go and tell you about things that I personally look for. So again, 242 is whip trend, and that is the panel. It gives you that if you put this whip trend on each and every single time frame, is it bullish or is it bearish for that time frame? If it's bearish, it's purple. If it's bullish, it's green. And then the sum of the time frames added up equals a number, and that gives us the intensity of green. So when all your time frames are bullish, like in this area, for example, you have nice strong green candles. So 242 is the chart and the panel. Here, the second section, the panel source, is the special mathematics that I created for wave trend, which then changed it into whip trend. And we have some other variations as well, but I have it on special. It gets me in generally a candle sooner than the wave trend version. And the channel length, I kind of like 8 and 8 and 2. With 2 you get a lot more signals and you can get messed around here. So if you can see here, we've got a sell and a buy, and we've got a sell and a buy. You can change that a little bit by probably going to like a smoothing length of 4 for the EMA. And there you'd have had a bit of skullduggery. But yep, 2, because I use whip trend in context with other indicators. And then we also have some different types of moving average you can have on. But for this example, we are using the EMA. We can change it to HMA and stuff by going over and changing the colors on things. So currently the HMA is there. If we turn it onto yellow and we increase the brightness, that's the whole moving average as a smoothing line. But we'll turn that off. I'm happy with the EMA. And so we have whip trend set to 882. 9 and 10 on HMA and RMA are irrelevant because I have those muted. I have those dialed down on transparency. And again, whip trend source here, special. Interval used for security calls is 360. So the security call is the higher time frame request. So if we're on the 1 hour chart, I generally go for double, or at least another half. So for example, we have 1 hour, which is 60. So if we go for 120, 120, that is double our current time frame, and this red line here will change. Like so. And this is kind of a neat little thing that I also use, is when I use a double, a higher time frame of double, this red line here, for example, is the 2 hour version of the white line. So if it starts going down tick tick, you know that the time frame from 2 hour, the white line is actually going down. It's also quite cool how we have, you know, the whip trend from the lower time frame gets above the higher time frame WT1 signal line, it works in a bullish, and then here for bearish. Again, we digress. Reaction, you don't need to do anything with. I think I will do an update and get rid of that. And we have turn whip trend off. So at the moment, there's relative price and TSI are turned off, and whip trend is on. TSI off, relative price off, whip trend is on. If I turn whip trend off, we're going to lose the candle colors. There we go. And that's basically turned it all off. What I will show you now is how we can use the different indicators we have on the chart. So whip candles is a calculation of whip trend, which I've just shown you. If we turn off relative price, turn on, so we've clicked it off and that turns it on. Now basically the background is relative price, bullish or bearish for a time frame. So what we have here is period 4, smoothing method, EMA, and the 9. So if we go to this, we need it to be 4 and 9 on EMAs. So if we go to 4 and 9, and we change those to EMA, and we change that to EMA. Okay, so with the RVOL settings of 4 EMA, 9 EMA, when the, hold on, okay, let's change that again, and let's change the second signal line off. Okay. So what we have here is when the blue is above the red, we know that relative volume is bullish. So for example, here we have a relative volume price below the red. This is bearish for this time frame. For the 1 hour, it's bearish, and that computes here because for the 60 minute, the 1 hour, we are bearish. And from around this position here, when the blue line was below the red, we have bearish panel prints. So we have whip trend is turned off. Now we just have RVOL price, which is in the candles. Now we're going to turn that off, and we should have nothing again. So turn off relative price, tick that, and it turns it off. The candles will go back to an error. We have an error. So now TSI MACD, we're going to turn TSI MACD on by unticking the option. And now we have this setting of TSI MACD, which is 48542. And we have this, plotted here at the bottom of the chart. So now we know that the 48542 with smooth moving average, when the blue is above the red, it's bullish. And that computes here because when the blue gets over the red, our 60-minute panel chart here is bull, 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 bull. And then when blue gets below the red, it's bear, bear, gets above, bull, bull. So this is basically translating every single time frame that you choose here. Is it bullish or bearish on the TSI MACD? So one thing we can do here, another thing which is pretty cool, is we're going to turn on the relative price and we're going to turn on the whip trend. So now when all three are going to be calculated. So here TSI were bearish on the whip trend, we're bearish, and on the relative volume we're bearish. So all three of those are bearish, and that translates here, we are bearish here. And now we have the 240 starting to creep in bearish. So you can sometimes notice that the we will start laddering in bearish on different time frames. But relating to just an earlier thing I showed you, when you have all this that is bearish, you've got up to like the 8 hour is bearish. When everything's bearish and it's not going down, it shows you that that is possibly a really valid support. And that is the case. The market is bearish here. Whip trend, relative volume, TSI MACD, they're all bearish and the price isn't going down. So that shows you that it's possibly good for a reversal. And what else have we got? General settings. Yep. I like to, so for example, here we have the 4 hour, the 300 minute, 360, 420 and 480, which is the 8 hour. I like to go up, generally in hours when I'm around the 1 hour to 3 to 4 hour charts. So if I'm on the day, you can only edit your, so this has gone very erratic because of our time interval for the higher time frame here. So if we're on the daily chart, which we can see here, we can change this to 2D, and then that gives us our 2-day higher time frame, which is there. And looking very bullish really on the indicators themselves. So now we have here, this is our daily chart. Our daily chart is bullish, but here we have 240, 300 minutes, 360 minutes, 420 minutes, 480 minutes. So that doesn't really make sense. So we would have to change those to, this will work quite nice actually. 2-day, 3-day, I'll skip. And there we go, 6 days there. So now we will let that update, which it has, and we now have whip candles on the daily chart. So each candle, as we have covered in the Trading Academy Basics, each candle is 1 day on the daily chart. And again, what I was just telling you earlier is when you do have like a lot of selling pressure and it's not getting down, it shows you that this is pretty good support. There are buyers here, and obviously we have, I'll just keep showing you examples. It's good to keep learning. Yeah, we've got a compression here. This is what I love about wick candles as well, is using them in these situations where you have a compression of price, because the price, it started all to turn green here, and we have a breakout with green, which would identify to myself that we are looking extremely bullish. And if we use context of our other indicators, relative volume price is creeping up. Relative volume price is creeping up. Here was the final push down. The volume compared to the price at that time was really strong down. So people were trying to push the market down, failed, and we have a breakout. Relative volume price is above the 1 line. And I'm going to reset defaults, reset settings. Okay, and we're going to go back here. So the RVOL settings I use for whip trend, whip candles, is different for the reaction that I want on the panel compared to the reaction I want to see when I'm actually looking at RVOL. And here we have, yeah, it's just looking very good there. Price here, tick, tick. That would have been a really good buy. RVOL has exceeded this level. We're a buy on whip trend, and we're a buy on TSI MACD, and we're away. So that was a really good trade. So at the moment, that actually looks really nice with whip candles like that. Daily, 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, 6-day. And we will double click on there. And we've got the 2-day security for the higher time frame signal line, which this white this red here would be the white on the higher time frame. Okay, next, tweaking. So let's get rid of these trend lines from our compression. So tweaking, do I need to tweak my indicator? Well, let's have a look. This is where you really need to use possibly some vertical lines, and let's make that smaller. Let's make that a bit smaller. No, we'll keep that there, and we will get rid of that. So let's get rid of these trend lines as well. Okay, so do you need to tweak your indicator? So at the moment we have whip candles, and we have the overlay of whip trend, which is on 882. So those are the ones we really need to focus on here at the moment, because those are all we've got on the chart. We have the channel length and signal length, which calculates the white line, and then we have the smoothing length of 2 of an EMA of 2, which is the black line. So original settings again of whip trend was 1021, and let's call it 4. It's 3 or 4. Click. And we get this, it's a lot smoother. So this would have had you buy here. This would have had you sell here. And then you'd have been sweating here in drawdown. This flicked into a buy here. And then immediately flicked into a sell there. So if you would have sold there, you would have been in the trade all the way down here. Maybe seeing that price isn't breaking these levels, you might have closed out above here. And that's a buy there, and then that's a sell there. If you sold there, you would have gone all the way down there. If you would have bought there, you would have bought anywhere around here or above that candle, and you would still be in the trade. You could have even highly risky for being stopped out. But if you're entered above this candle, you could move your trade now to break even, but I do expect this to test some areas here to create liquidity, which we go about in the advanced education stuff. But no, whip candles is actually looking really nice with the daily chart and all the collection of relative volume, whip trend, and TSI MACD. So I don't want to make this video too long. If we have any questions on this, I can probably update the video at a later stage, but I want to get this out for you guys, and then you can be having to play with it. But with regards to tweaking, let's see, we've gone to a daily time frame here. It depends how erratic you want your indicator to behave. Do you want to scalp? Do you want to be a short-term trader? Do you want to be a long-term trader? So here you could have just been waiting for a nice close below the red line, for example, a higher time frame signal line, and then here you have it, and you might not have even had to enter a trade until you actually have a full bearish array of like the higher time frames. So this is a sell, this is a sell here, but all your higher time frames are still a buy, so you wouldn't have sold. You could have bought here because your higher time frames is still a buy. Bam, that would have taken you, you'd have still been in the trade up there. This is a sell. Will you sell? Well, no, you're still missing your 3 higher time frames there. That's a buy. Yes, you can enter there. That's a winning trade. So you would have been entered there. You would have been entered there, and 2 trades. Possibly looks like an ABC. Which then we have a sell here. You didn't have to sell there because you've still got all these bullish time frames above, and here you have your first like bearish indicator signal, and you could have entered here. sell, and you know, even if you entered at the bottom and price went up against you, your stops could have been above there. You would have been in this trade all the way down from, say, 10,000 or 9.5 down to the 4.5 level. What else? Yeah, tweaking. Do I need to tweak? Well, play with it. Have a play. Different time frames. So here we've got 10, 21, and 4. If I go to one of the variants I like, which is an 8, 8, and 2, where that's a sell, still bullish here. That could have been, yeah, that could have been a better sell there. Sell there. All these are purple. You're just looking at sells. Sell there. All these are turning green. You're just looking at buys. That's a buy there. So you buy there. Price goes up. Sell. Do you want to sell there? You can maybe take profits, but all this is still bullish. The greens are bullish. So your greens are still bullish, bullish. This is turned to a buy. You buy there. Buy. Sell. No, it's not backed up by those. Buy. Yes, you can buy there, and you've got another beautiful run up there. Sell. No, it's not really a sell because of your high time frames here. Yeah, I wouldn't say buy there. Let's have a look at why wouldn't I say buy there? Well, I'll tell you, and then we'll also back it up with relative volume. But this was a buy here, but already your higher time frame, your white, for example, on the higher time frame is already at an extreme. It's like topped out. So it would have been dangerous to buy there. And then here we also have divergence. So we have a higher high in price, but we have a lower high on the indicator. And then obviously if we go over to, no, it's not that obvious, to be honest with you. That is 2020, okay. Yep, so there, that is a higher high on relative price of all. And then we have this here. So we have divergence on whip trend, we have divergence on the TSI MACD, and that was just, that was liquidity. That was a liquidity run, really. Before how many days? 9th. Yeah, before a few weeks of sideways. And then we have our breakout over here. But yeah, so that's just a quick video on whip candles and the other 3 indicators that are involved in whip candles, and a couple of examples of how to use it and what to do for tweaking it. And yeah, again, let's cover the tweaks. So if you're a 4-hour trader kind of guy, and this is quite nice actually. So this is all purple here. This is where you can really hone in on some cool stuff as well. When you have the higher time frames here, for example, we've been bearish from around here. So you know, it's like buy the dip or sell the pump. But we've gone bearish here on whip trend from the like 3-day onwards. We're bearish. So then you need to be looking really at your sell options. So would that be a sell there? Not necessarily. You could have done, then you would have suffered some drawdown. I wouldn't have been stopped out there with my style of trading though. This one you could have sold here, and let's increase that. So we have our vol. So this was a sell here on whip trend. Would you have been suckered in? It would have been a sell at that time on the TSI, and it would have been a sell at that time on that. One way you can make sure you don't get sucked into a trade like that is just having an entry sell order below it. But obviously immediately that turns around, that goes bullish. Then this, bearing in mind all this is purple, we need to be looking for sells. We've got a nice push up on TSI there, and then at that point we turn bearish on the TSI. We've got our sell on the whip candles, and we've got a sell on the relative volume price, and then we have a nice move down there. Yep, tweaking, just have a play. You can make it fit for the time frame. That's basically what I need to say is, does it work for your time frame? So this is like, an area you can just increase your EMA. That's a sell there. That's a buy there. One tip I can give you with whip trend, if you just quite simply make rules for yourself that you only enter a sell position when your higher time frames are bearish, and maybe you work your way up to above the 70 line. And then, okay, so you wouldn't have sold, you would have sold there, and then you would have been in a move. And yes, you're going to miss out on a lot of trades. Like, for example, where can we say, okay, that would have been a buy, that would have been a buy, but now we're looking bearish. So that would have been a sell, but you wouldn't have entered because it wasn't into this zone. Wouldn't have been a sell, wouldn't have been a sell. You would have sold on this candle. Price goes down and you've got a bottoming here, so you'd have probably been sweating and decided to come out. That's nice round in there on the TSI. Yeah, if anything, that was a liquidity run on Bitcoin before heading up to what I'd say is a minimum of the 11,000, which I mentioned the other day at around the 10,200 level when I made a video for you guys. So yeah, have a play. Any questions, please ask, and wish you a really nice day. Hope this helps. Bye for now.